Okay, so this Reddit shows that it never really ends for you as a woman. If you end up marrying a guy who ends up being your biggest competitor, it never really stops. So in this Reddit, this lady is 60 and she's talking about how she's going to make more money than her husband, and apparently S is going to hit the fan. So she's 60 and her husband's 61, and apparently he's a very competitive guy. And she says, when I beat him at chess 3 times in a row, he wouldn't play with me anymore. It's not just with me. He hates when a friend makes more money than him. He hates when someone beats him at golf. He hates if someone skis faster than him. You get the picture. He's not just competitive, he's a sore loser, and that is the worst combination. So she says he stopped being friends with people over his competitiveness, which I think is ridiculous. Of course, it's more than ridiculous. She says when we were first married, he made way more money than me. He used this reason as to why I needed to do more around the house, i.e. everything. Of course, when men say you need to do more, you need to do everything. You need to be their maid. You need to be their servant while they just lounge about because they go to work and make more money than you. Men forget that they live in a world where they can get promoted off of having a penis. So I really don't see where the hard work is. She says, it was hard at first, but I'm really great at managing time and love to spend time with our kids. So although I work a full-time job, I did all the housework, most of the yard work, home maintenance, and managed the kid. I'm sorry, why are you doing that yard work and the house maintenance? Isn't that the man's job? Shouldn't he be doing that? Why is your husband not doing Bob the Builder? Isn't he the one that's supposed to be building? Men are supposed to build something, isn't it? Because they built everything with their bare hands, remember? Men built the world, so he can't even build a light bulb. He can't build a shed. He can't do anything. You're doing the maintenance. He's giving janitor. She continues, I knew that spending the lion's share with the kids, which I loved, would pay off in spades in their older years with our relationship, and it has. My husband is very sad now that our 2 grown children and I have all these memories and experiences that he wasn't a part of. He's not upset. He's really not upset about anything. He's just lying because you're getting attention. If he gets the attention of those kids now and they're no longer giving you attention, that means the kids are going to rely on him for other things that he's never been giving them. And then he's going to call you back because he needs your help with doing these things that he doesn't want to do. Because if he wanted to do them, he would have gotten to know the kids as they were growing up. Sucks to be you. That's why men project when they say that we're envious of them. We're not envious of nothing. At least our kids like us. You can't not be there while a kid is being raised and expect the kid to want you around. You can't be there while the kid's being raised, but you're not the one raising them, and expect the kid to want you around. They don't care. They don't know you because you refuse to know them like that. Men like this suck. Competitive men are very childish. It's very childish behavior, or behavior we would attribute to children. Because I remember sports day. Even as kids, we weren't that competitive. Men, they regress. At least we like to pretend they do, or they stop at maybe age 13 and they just stay mentally that age for the rest of their lives. That's the way the world likes to excuse them as acting like. But we should start changing the narrative, because a lot of 13-year-olds don't really act like this. There has to be a lot of intervention with men, and they think that we're the ones that are supposed to do it. If I personally intervene when it comes to a lot of men, you will not like me. So that's why I say it's not your job to try and change men, and this is the result of not changing them. He should be like this for the rest of his life, but the difference is his wife should be his ex-wife. Her husband should be her ex-husband, because she shouldn't be with him anymore. She should take her plenty monies and jet. Continuing, she says, once our kids graduated from high school, I went to graduate school to get my MBA. My MBA has allowed me to move up in the company I work for. Last year, I got a big promotion and a bonus that put my salary equal to my husband's. I can tell he was uncomfortable with it. When our taxes were prepared, but since my bonus increase came after July 1st, my company's fiscal year, it looked like I made slightly less than him on the W-2. But the gap in our pay had closed significantly. I think we have to understand that men don't make a lot of things happen for themselves. They don't have a lot going on, so they have to always make things our problem just so they have something to do. They'll start arguments and they say we start arguments, because gaslighting us is a favorite pastime of theirs. They just love to create chaos, and then they say that we love to do it. So she continues and says, this year I was promoted again to an executive vice president position. I received a very large bonus and a big bump in my salary. I opted to have my increased contribution to my 401k plus a catch-up amount as I am over 50. the additional income I have going into separate money market savings. My contribution to our joint account looks the same as last year. My bonus was reflected in our checking account, and my husband was surprised at the amount. We use it to pay off our mortgage. Because I'm diverting my income to the 401k and the money market savings, he hasn't noticed the increase. But my gross income will show up on my W-2, and he will see that my income is about 50% larger than his. Instead of men to enjoy the good life, you get lucky and marry a woman that's making a lot of money, and you're looking that she's making too much money than you. Like I've said before, I'm sure I've mentioned it in the video, but I always say this: a man will be okay with you and the kids living in a cardboard box as long as he's the one making the most money. He can be bringing £1 to that cardboard box, but as long as nobody can say that he's not the protector and provider of the cardboard box, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be happy, you know. You'll be living in a cardboard box, but it doesn't matter because he's the one paying for it. He'd rather that you give all your money away just to make him look like the big dog. This happens a lot in Nigeria. That when women, because I'd say at least solid 85% of the households in Nigeria are run and paid for and provided for by women, and they turn around and give their paychecks to their husbands, and then the husbands will be like, okay, this is my money, and then the wives will be like, okay, can I have 500 naira to buy a pair of shoes for one of the children? And then when she presents the shoes to the child, she'll be like, oh, your dad bought this for you. Like heck, your dad bought this for you. Your mum bought this for you. It was her money. Women work for the families and men work for themselves. That's it. And you work for the men too. So turn over your paycheck. She says, I know come March, April of next year, my husband will see that I make significantly more than him when we prepare our tax return. I'm worried that he will retire so he can save face, which will put us in a bad financial position, since he will only be 62 and won't be entitled to complete social security benefits. His stupid male ego will cut off his nose to spite his face and make retirement more difficult for the both of us. Exactly. That's what, like, sort of what I was saying. Because men would rather shoot themselves in the foot that may ensure that their family is safe. Because this is the thing, when women think about these things, we think long term, and men call us hysterical and say that we're just projecting. And you know, when women take precautions that men say apparently we're supposed to be taking, they'll be like, oh, there's no reason, you're just being dramatic, you don't need to take all these precautions. Lo and behold, if he loses his job before he wants to retire, what happens? And like she said, she's planning ahead. She's like, he won't be entitled to full social security. So when he starts complaining that everything's expensive, where's the money going to come from? Because she told you not to retire, but you did it because you are a piss baby. But okay, she says, I want to let him know that I'm making more than he is before he sees it on our W-2s. And I want him to understand that this isn't a competition. He won't understand, but it's good that she should tell him. Because if she doesn't and he finds out anyway, he'll be like, oh, so this is what our marriage is now, you're lying to me, blah, blah, blah. That's why women should lie to men. We should lie to men all the time, to be honest. You can tell them the truth if you want. You can tell them the truth if you want. I honestly think you can if you want to, but also lie to them. Lie to them all the time. In fact, they lie all the time, but that's not why you should do it. Lie. Just lie. Because what they like to do is completely upturn your life. They like to turn it all the way upside down, and then they'll be upset with us that we don't want them around while we're trying to fix it. This is very sad. Who wants a marriage like this? And they're in their 60s. And she says, when we both do well, we both do well. And that's the thing, men don't understand. They don't care about that. When they do well, they say they like to pour into their families. They don't. Because then they'll get their wife probably a diamond necklace. Be like, I got you a diamond necklace. She's like, I don't want a diamond necklace. I want groceries. I want money for the groceries. And but you're ungrateful. She didn't ask for the diamond necklace. And men will spend things on frivolous things. And then they'll turn around and say women spend money on frivolous things like groceries and things for their kids. Yeah, sure. But say if she didn't want kids, you'd be like, oh, baby, you know, I love you and I'll take care of you. Let's have the kids together, and you have the kids and they're basically your kids because he's not taking care of them with you. The last part says, any suggestions as to how to keep him from being emasculating? No. I was thinking of saying something like, you kept us afloat when the kids were young, now it's my turn. No. Or because you supported us while I earned my MBA. No. We can both reap the rewards in our later years. No. And she says, I know it's stupid to walk on eggshells, but his ego is super fragile. Thank you. Look, it's not your fault that his ego is fragile. And Sourdough down here says, so he's competing to be the best husband. He's not competing to be the best husband or father then. Of course not. Men only fathers and husbands in name only. At face value, they just like to show off that they're husbands and fathers. At work, they'll be like, oh, he needs a pay rise because he has a family to take care of. Or they say to mothers and wives, hey, look, yeah, we think you're going to get pregnant like 50 times this year, so we're going to fire you, or we're not going to hire you because you're going to get pregnant. You look fertile to me. This is the reason why women aren't getting married anymore, because this is what your future will be like in a marriage with a man who is competitive. So obviously don't go for competitive guys, but the thing is, a lot of men will present these things as not that deep in the beginning, but it always gets worse. It always. Okay, I have another read, but first check out my story for a poll and also what's going on my page right now. So this Reddit is from a young woman, and basically she's asking us whether her boyfriend has controlling behavior. So she says, are my boyfriend's demands normal for a serious relationship, or are they controlling? The too long didn't read. I've been dating my boyfriend for 3.5 months, but his recent demands feel controlling. I've made adjustments to my behavior, but I'm unsure if this is normal for a man who wants to feel his partner's committed, or if it's manipulative, and how to set boundaries moving forward. If you have to ask, you're probably right. She says, my boyfriend, 25, and she's 24, have been dating for 3.5 months, officially together for 1.5 months. While he reassured me early on that he's different from my toxic ex, his recent behavior makes me question if he's controlling. For context, my ex didn't allow me to go to the gym, to stay out after 10 p.m, to post pictures on social media, or have any interactions with men that weren't his family or my family. Early on, when we first talked about having something serious, he asked me to delete all guys I followed on Instagram that I found via dating apps, which I did, but he still followed women from those apps. They always do things like this. It's the same thing when they are like, body counts are different for men and women, you know, when they say things like that. She says, when I confronted him, he said he was still researching to see if they were linked to guys I used to follow, which felt like a weak excuse. That sounds insane, actually. He also got upset when I swam at a friend's birthday party, saying it was inappropriate for me to be in a swimsuit around men in a group where he wasn't present. But going to the beach is fine because there are more people. Additionally, though he thought initially okay with me hugging my male friends, quick platonic hugs which happen when we meet and when we leave, he later expressed discomfort and asked me to stop. He also had a dramatic reaction when I bought a pack of cigarettes to smoke during a weekend, saying that I betrayed him as we were planning to quit smoking together. He expected me to leave my friends immediately to address this issue. This is always a first sign of a guy wanting to abuse somebody. It always starts with isolation, always policing what you do and say and where you go and who you go with and where you go with somebody and who is there when you're at that place. They want to be around you all the time, and even if they don't want to be around you all the time, they have to make sure they keep tabs on you. You have to always update them with where you are. You're not allowed to move on. You're not allowed to be free. You always have to tell them where you're going. They always have to know where you are, and they always, most importantly, have to know that you will never ever find something different or better than them. That's why fear is a very important component. He expected me to leave my friends immediately to address this issue, telling me to get up and leave that place. He was upset that I didn't and said that a coffee with my friends shouldn't be more important than our relationship. Additionally, he has a close relationship with an older divorced female neighbour with whom he hangs out occasionally. He admitted to grabbing her butt once as a joke to see her muscle. You know, I never want to get male humour, because if this is what it is, you know, their sense of humour will be like RAPE, ha ha ha, sexual assault, ha ha ha. And they also were joking about co-parenting her son. He insists it's platonic and that he views her as a mentor and mother, that she always helped him with advice, but he's mentioned multiple times how attractive she is. Even if nothing is going on between them, is it normal for him to be so critical of me hugging my friends in a group setting or wearing a swimsuit at a pool party where he spends time with a woman he's had flirtatious moments with? I've made several concessions for him. I promised that I would start avoiding her. I limited interactions with guys and I shared my live location with him 24/7. See, even though he didn't want to share his with me, I thought if I complied with his expectations, we'd have a great time and avoid fight. But it seems that there's always something new that bothers him. See, the isolation is in effect, and I just want people to be reminded that hitting a wall as a woman doesn't exist. Not that it should be a compliment, but he's hitting on a woman who's older than him. Whether or not we truly believe he's attracted to the older woman, men will literally triangulate all of us to ensure we never feel wanted by them, but we will always feel like we have to stay with them to prove that they need us, to serve them and to prove our worth to them, even though what they actually want is for you to feel so insecure you'll never leave. So she says, I brought up to him that sometimes his behavior feels manipulative and reminds me of my ex, which concerns me. In response, he told me that these are simply his needs and expectations, and that maybe my ex had his own demands as well. Her ex probably said exactly this, saying that my ex may not have been as toxic as I think. The amount of guys who walk around who think exactly like this, that like they literally get their personality from the same place. Continuing, he insisted that it's normal for people in relationships to express what they want and don't want. He emphasized that it's about understanding and respecting his needs, and if I cannot do these things and I feel like they are too exaggerated, it means that maybe we are too different and shouldn't be in a relationship. I understand that we all might have different needs, and I have mine as well, but it's hard for me to identify which ones are reasonable and which are controlling. This is the gaslight. They'll make you seem as if everything you're doing or asking for is irrational. Continuing, I understand that as we grow and mature, we naturally spend less time with groups of friends, especially mixed ones, and focus more on doing things with our partner. No, it doesn't always have to be that way. However, I believe I should continue spending time with my mixed friends groups, especially since the relationship with my boyfriend is still at the beginning. Exactly, they've not been even dating for 4 months yet. I don't want to lose those friendships or cut myself off from parts of my social life, particularly when I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong by keeping those connections. True, and you shouldn't have to. I'm starting to feel confused about what's a serious, dedicated man in a relationship should really be like. I thought I knew what to expect, but now I'm questioning whether the things he's asking for are what commitment looks like. And if you have to ask yourself again, you're probably right. Or if I've lost sight of what's reasonable in a healthy relationship. As women, we're always questioning ourselves and second guessing ourselves when we literally didn't do anything wrong. Continuing, or if I've lost sight of what's reasonable in a healthy relationship. I want to get married and have kids in the next few years, and I need someone who's on the same page. The problem is most of the guys my age are still looking to mess around and aren't really thinking about settling down. And this is how men and society have convinced young women to be with old men, simply because men are quote unquote ready when they're like 40. Don't fall for it. It feels like the men who I meet and want something serious as well often have certain expectations that's a controlling behavior that make me wonder about the balance between personal freedom and commitment in a relationship. And trust me, I'm not a party girl. I mostly go out with my female friends and we don't really go to clubs. We go once a year for Women's Day. We generally go out for coffees, brunches and cocktails. I have this one group of friends from university that includes some guys, and ever since I started dating my boyfriend, I've really tried to meet them rarely. They are the ones that I'm supposed to stop hugging. I feel like a relationship should be based on trust, but he keeps saying it's about respect as well, and that I should know what's okay and set those boundaries on my own without him telling me. The thing is, I don't feel like I'm doing things that a woman in a relationship shouldn't. I'm a good girl. I dress and do my makeup decently, post normal pictures on social media, and most days I'm going to work and coming home, so it's not like I'm out in bar all the time with all types of people. I have a decent behavior, not flirty with guys, and I feel like I'm not crossing any boundaries or giving any reason to worry that I'd act inappropriately when he's not around. This is the gaslight. If you feel like you are being gaslit, you are probably being gaslit. There's no reason why you should be second guessing yourself when something is literally not happening. I find it funny when men accuse women of doing things that they are guilty of. She says, I'm not sure if he's increasing his expectations because he sees me as obedient and thinks he can push for more, or if he would be less demanding if I had set boundaries from the start. If that's the case, can I still change things now and show him that I won't tolerate any more demands? You can always change it. I want you to know that now. She asks, is it normal for guys who want to settle down to have these kind of demands? No. How can I differentiate between reasonable relationship expectations and controlling behavior? Actually, it is normal for guys to say things like that, but is it reasonable? No. Lots of guys say this. Does it mean it's right? No. How can I be clear that I'm open to reasonable requests but I won't tolerate controlling behavior? Break up with him. Have you complied with a partner's demands to avoid fights, and when did that improve the relationship or make it worse? It obviously makes it worse for you and better for him because he's winning a fight that you did not start. How can I communicate that while I respect his boundaries and I need him to respect mine as well without making it seem like I'm not committed to the relationship? The thing is, if he's always making it your fault, he's not really respecting your boundaries, is it? Because only his boundaries will be the ones being respected. If you're the one twisting yourself in knots to make him happy, that is you respecting his boundaries and him disrespecting yours. So that's that. So moving on to a couple of comments. None of this is normal. Please run for your life, like your actual life, OP. He sounds scary and psychotic. OP needs to block him permanently and reflect on the warning signs to avoid them in the future. It's alarming how many unhinged individuals are destroying innocent people's lives in today's world. It's disheartening to see how many men are doing this to women. Someone says her life with him is terrifying. I absolutely could not live like that. She needs to get the hell out before she gets hurt. That is the truth. Someone says, I feel like some people start investing time and feelings into someone they start seeing too quick. But skipping down, after this second person says that he love bombed her and now she thinks he's a really great guy, this person says, yeah, I get that, but if her last relationship was bad, you think she'd be more cautious the next time around to not fall for the same manipulation? You would honestly think so. We need to start extending grace to people, because honestly, it's not always black and white. And I understand it's very frustrating seeing women fall into the same patterns all the time. But really, when no one helped you heal, when no one told you could heal, when no one allowed you to heal, how can you then go and find somebody who is not exactly the same as your ex? Men lie all the time. They literally go to women and hide their true face and show it to you later. When women break up, everyone's accusing women of breaking up and giving up on relationships too easy. That we're not real ones and we don't stay for the ride and we're not respecting the institution of marriage and dating and blah, blah, blah. You want us to give men like this a chance all the time, and you want to wait for them to off us first before you start calling it a problem. She is being cautious. cautious by literally asking. I think it's because some people think they're better than other people. That's why they can say things like this. This account has gotten a violation warning, so I won't be posting on here as much as I'd like to. I'm back to work anyway, so I'll be responding to comments and stuff like that, but I can't post as much anyway until I get this figured out. I've had more videos taken down and whatnot for being right, so I guess maybe I should just apologize for just being correct, but I digress. The movement don't stop. I will be answering DMs and whatnot, and there's a poll in my story, and hopefully whatever I post doesn't get taken down again, because I'm not sure how many chances I've left, but like there's a warning on my account, like it's red and everything. It looks kind of serious. But answer the poll so I know what kind of videos you want to see. There's a choice of 2 for the moment, but I will do more polls in the future, because I just want to post things that everyone wants to talk about too as well, not just what I think. But my friend Charlie sent me a video the other day about how, you know, this is happening to women all over the internet, not just this site here, where our videos are getting taken down, we're getting strikes, we're getting warnings and violations, blah blah blah, because we are causing quote unquote division. But the other side and the other groups who are against us as women, nothing happens to their account. And like I said, I'm not doing this for the money, I'm not doing this for clout, I'm doing this because I need to know that you guys know what's going on. It gives me peace to know that there are women who are feeling alone, but then they find accounts like mine and other women's where they can talk to other women and know that they're not alone. That's what makes me happy, and that's why I don't ask for money or anything. I'm literally just happy with all the people that I've met on here. All of you guys are so supportive and so kind, and you're so nice, and I'm glad you guys talk to each other too. Like, it's not all bad, that's why I'm not too worried. But I do have a YouTube channel that I haven't posted on, but I've spoken to one of my mutuals about. But you guys can subscribe to the YouTube channel just in case anything happens, because I really can't be asked to make another TikTok account, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I might have to do that, I'm not sure, but that's not really a priority for me right now. I'm pretty sure it'll be okay, but the ban is lifted after like 90 days or something like that, so I won't be posting on here as often. But you can still DM me and you can still watch my other videos, and I'll try and post our videos, but I guess I have to be kind of careful what I post, so I won't be posting screenshots, like I'll have to paraphrase and stuff like that. Do you know what this violations ban thing that's happening to me right now reminds me of? It reminds me when I got detention in school one time for swearing. I said the F word and I got in trouble, and I had detention, I had to miss break. If I could get through that at like 11, I can get through this too. We can get through this together. Obviously, there are other people you can watch and listen to, and that's what I'm going to do as well. But I need everyone to know that this is by design. This is literally what happens all the time when women speak out against things and about what happens to us, and when you literally verbatim just repeat somebody's words back to them, they get really offended. Like, we live in a world where, you know, things are happening to us and they are very, very, very abhorrent, but it's okay, because that's literally what they want to do. That is okay with them, because these things affecting us, and we're being silenced when we talk about things like this. That's literally what they're okay with. They love that. That's exactly how things are supposed to work in their eyes. They don't really want us to speak up about these things. In fact, they don't want to speak about it at all. Your voice is important, your input in the conversation is important anyway, and that's why when they see accounts like ours, like all these women that are talking about it too, like I'll probably repost a video that Charlie sent me where we're getting attacked left and right, and we're being spoken to like absolute dirt by, you know, these other groups, and we're not allowed to merely respond to them. We're not allowed to repeat what they said. We can't report them because nothing will happen. Like a handmaid's tale is coming true, more and more, bit by bit, day by day. This is where it starts, by silencing women and telling women that they can't speak, and then giving them violations and all of that. And then they will try and come for our community and try and come for us and try and separate us and make us feel like what's happening to other women is worse than what's happening to us, and therefore we stop speaking to each other. But it's never going to be like that. Like, it'll be fine. Like, honestly, just give it some time. And I have loads of videos everyone can watch anyway for now. I'll try and post by this weekend, so just make sure you vote in the poll. Just make sure you vote in the polls for what you want to see. And if you have any suggestions, of course, they are welcome. I just want to thank everyone again for the support and the community. Like, I really have a good time on this page, and I hope you guys do as well. I mean, unless you guys are very good at lying, I'm pretty sure you like it here as well. It's always funny to me when men get upset at women pointing out what men have said about themselves previously. So men can evolve. Apparently men are simple creatures and they never change, but apparently they do. So the things that they've said before can't come back to bite them in the arse. The crimes they have committed as a collective cannot come back to bite them in the arse in an argument, but yes, the heck it can. So there's a tweet I saw quite a while ago by a doctor, Kirti Patel, and I think I actually put one of her posts the other day, to be honest, on my page, and apparently she's on delusional takes now. There's always a counter movement to anything women do. There's always a man online ready to call women idiots simply for saying something. Now, there's nothing wrong with what Kirti says or what Dr. Patel said. She said yesterday, I was thinking men are disgusting, and then I thought maybe I'm too hard on men. Then I opened this app and realised, no, men are disgusting. I think anonymous posting by men should be banned. Your inner thoughts are a plague to civilization. Because the moment a man does something violent in society, everyone's like, where did he get this idea from? I wish we could see if he had these thoughts before, where these thoughts came from. These thoughts are right here on the internet, and word for word, time and time again, these men, they go out there and they inflict violence on women and girls. Meanwhile, they could have stopped when people shut down their account. You could have arrested these men the moment these women and girls accused them of something and had proof that these men were doing these things to them. Abuse most likely starts at home, but it also starts with the mindset that these men and these boys have about us. You can't simply react to the things that they're saying online. It's not fair. Hero Sword P says, yes, men are infamously the only ones that are allowed to take advantage of being anonymous. Also a reminder how much women's resentment of men, she has her name and blue check mark, will get support, but a man's resentment of women is always isolated to the internet as a non-incel behaviour. Why do men expect women to like them after the things that they say about us? The thing women say about men are true. There's always a news article, there's always a breaking news story about a woman being murdered or a girl being murdered by a boy or a man because she rejected him, because she's going to a Taylor Swift concert, because she said no to him, because he's her ex and he's been stalking her for months and she reported him time and time again and the police did nothing and then he ended up murdering her. How is that the same thing as men saying, oh, women just don't want to date us? Women don't like it when we say bad things about them and then they surprisingly don't date us. It's always about dating with them. It's always about a woman being there to entertain you, to suck up your violence, to just be there to cook and clean for you, for them to just pour on your body, for them to just feel your legs and feel your body. That's it. As a stressed ball, you're just supposed to be there just giving mindless support to them and just being quiet when they want you to. That's a pet. People have emotional support animals. That's what you are to them. Let's stop equating what men do to us with what we do to them, and we don't do anything to them. How many stories do you hear about women just going after men who rejected them? You don't hear that. That is not the culture that women have cultivated. Culture starts with people. Women are people. But for so long, women have been suppressed to the point where you can't even be a functioning member of society because you are basically invisible to society. So Kirti, Dr. Patel, she's in the comments saying, because in the guy's bio, in the delusional text bio, says, it doesn't mean you should harass people. The men are harassing her. The men are in the comments harassing her and writing stories about her life. This guy down here said, why so easy for them to say men but not black? See, and then these black men, they'll be online talking about how white men are superior and how men are superior and men built the world. You didn't build the world. You built some buildings and society for them for free because they managed to enslave you, and then you're banding with men of colour and white men. You're banding together with white men over black women and women of colour. That's good, because look at what they're saying about you. Every other day, it's, men are always battling with their thoughts. This homo duplex says she has no idea what our inner thoughts are. It was not too long ago, I think it was a couple months ago, I saw a tweet of a man saying, if women were in our minds for 1 second, they'd want to kill themselves because of how we feel about women and think about women. Do you think we don't know how you think about us? You are the ones saying these things to us. You're catcalling us. You are putting your feelings and your thoughts on Twitter, online. Men write word for word. Because there was a tweet, I've mentioned it before on this page as well. They think we don't know what they're thinking because they actually just say it without being asked, unprovoked. That's how most men have gotten their ideas across, because nobody ever actually asked them. They're just, I'm just going to talk over everyone anyway. Not so long ago, I saw a tweet where a man was saying, I love getting head, but I especially love getting head from a beautiful woman Or he said from, I think he referred to her very in a derogatory manner, but he said, I like getting head from a beautiful woman, especially because imagine just looking down and you have this power over somebody who has, like, basically saying that pretty women have power in society, and everyone covets having this beautiful woman, and then she's here sucking my penis. And then they want us to not believe that they're depraved and that they see sex as this way to conquer women and dominate women. Instead of you to be grateful and to be happy you're being intimate with somebody who likes you, men like beautiful women, and that's why they'll try and force everyone to fit a standard that they want. They'll lie to you and say they want your natural hair, they want your natural skin, they want your natural body, and then they'll be like, oh, your ass is not as big as her, your boobs aren't as small as hers, oh, I don't like the way your body sits, I don't like that you have rolls and stretch marks. These are natural things on women, but they don't like that. And then we're supposed to care that they don't like that, even though they can't even decide on what they actually like. Why wouldn't women stop having sex with men and marrying men and having kids with men? We're afraid of them getting online and recounted word for word, scene for scene, what you did with them in the bedroom to score points with other men who will never touch you, who will never see you. It's scary to have your intimacy there on the internet, but men are not scared because that's how they measure their success and their status in society, especially towards other men. And like I said of the story writing about Dr. Patel, look what these men are saying about her in the comments. This is the kind of environment men facilitate, and then they turn around and then they equate it with when women talk about what men have actually done to them in the comment section. If a woman talks about a harassment experience she had, 100 other women will have the exact same experience. But look at the quality of comments that these men are putting. They have to write stories. These didn't actually happen, or they don't have confirmation that these happened. This is absolutely vile and absolutely disgusting. Skimp Dimpy says, she sounds like a lovely person. I'm sure she's pleasant to be around. Wonder how her dad is. You know how it's always the dad. It's always the dad. Everyone's mother would raise them. Yeah, it's always her fault that the dad wasn't there. The dad has legs. He could walk out of the house anytime he wanted, and he did. And you're blaming the woman for not running after her when she had you in her arms. She had to take care of you. Shahid 2004 says she probably wonders as well, or wondered at one point in time. Too bad he went off to buy milk. Ha ha ha, it's so funny that people's fathers abandoned them. It sounds like your father abandoned you too, if we want to go there. Because if you had a good father, then you wouldn't be talking about women this way. And most likely his father was there and told him that it's okay to talk to women like this. Then Skip Dippy comes back. I bet her mum's crazy and it rubbed off on her. Probably also molested by one of her mum's boyfriends, explaining the misandry. You see how for you, apparently in their minds, you being violated by one of them always seems to manifest in hating men. If men abused you, why wouldn't you hate them? But no woman abused them, yet they hate women. So what's their excuse? Every single day, men lament about how they just want to be loved and held, and nobody cares that they cry, and they just hold it in and suck it in and cry in private. Yet we hear them crying all the time in these comments. Can you hear them rubbing their hands, thinking about how Dr. Patel has possibly been molested by one of her mom's boyfriends? Do they know whether her parents are married or not? Do they know whether her parents are still alive? Do they know her family dynamics? No, they do not. But yet they've written a story, and look how many likes it's got. Okay, it's only got 844 likes. That's more than 0. 4 people agree and think that she's been molested, and that's funny. And that's a gotcha moment to a doctor. We know how they think. We know that they imagine us naked. We heard them when they said, because you can go on Twitter and just search it up, because men say, oh, it doesn't actually matter what women wear, we still picture them naked anyway. And they talk about how when women cover up, they want to know what's underneath. They think we're stupid. They don't think that we figured this out ages ago. Of course we know, because women who've been fully clothed have said they've been assaulted. Women who have been in skimpy clothes have admitted to being assaulted. So what makes you think we don't believe women when they say these things? But apparently the point is only valid when men say it, because men are only inclined to listen to other men, and they believe themselves the arbiters of truth, and women are the arbiters of lie. Men set women up to be harassed, and then us merely repeating what they said is bad. Us recounting with evidence our experiences with them, and women coming with their own experiences and evidence of what men have done to them, is equally as bad. You can see how women search for solutions while men are just seeking to bash women, because they want us to hide in society. They want to erase us and harm us with impunity. This woman came on Twitter to come and share something that happened to her, and of course, men always have something to say. Now, to men, we can't, men can't expect loyalty from women if they're trying to tell us in no shortage of ways that they cannot be trusted and they cannot build lives with women. Like, you should just have children with women and just go your own way. because that's what they do in our animal kingdom. So I really don't understand in the animal kingdom. So I don't know why we're the only animals who are trying to force men to be this way. And women are coming back and saying, hey, look, we're not actually forcing you to do this. And men are like, but there's this like pressure to be a good dad. No, because if that was true, then deadbeat dads wouldn't be praised as much as they are. So this woman, Maddie, says, I hate men so much. This man asked me for my Snapchat tonight at Crumble. I walk out to my car after getting an order and his girl rolls down the window of their truck and asks if he was hitting on me and telling me that's her boyfriend. She looked crushed. He was holding their daughter too. Why do y'all do this to women who love you? Somebody said he's just a crumb who should have crumbled. Funny as hell. But on a serious note, it doesn't matter whether men are partnered, whether they're single, whether they have kids or no. They will hit on, like I had a guy hit on me in front of his own child. Like honestly, nothing will ever stop them from doing something that they want to do. Notice I said doing something that they want to do. You are always asking why men do the things they want or do the things that they do. It's literally because they want to do it. The same way you get up in the morning, right, and you decide to go shopping, that's exactly how they decide to assault and harass and objectify women. So people in the quotes was saying apparently it's insecurity, but it's still so messed up. They know they won't leave, and honestly I can't even. See, let's focus on the middle one here. So they know they won't leave. Like most of the time, yeah, that's the truth, to be honest. And that's why we as women need to keep talking to each other, because if we emboldened each other to leave and if we listened to each other, then we would leave and these men wouldn't even be able to play us like that. And then this man says, because we weren't meant to be monogamous. And then this lady's like, got it, don't date men because they will cheat on you. So if we all know that, if this is the conclusion, then you won't be shocked and you don't get to be angry at women who don't want to be partnered with men who are going to cheat on them. Because it's okay to be okay with a man cheating on you. Like honestly, I'm not telling you, but you can't be with that man who cheated on you. That's fine. And if you're doing it for free, I just want to study you. If you're a clown, say you're a clown. Like I want to use you as like a sociology experiment, a sociology subject, if you will accept cheating from a man who absolutely does nothing or gives you nothing. If you're getting cheated on for free, okay, cool. I just need to talk to you. But people are talking to this guy saying, you guys are just, whores. He's not accepting that. He said, we are not. It's not a hardwired trait in humans. It's a learned one. But you guys are living in this society. You can't have one side of the society and then you want another. And then people hear us asking the right questions, like, why are you forcing women to be in, or lying to women that you want to be in a committed relationship when this is what you're doing? Somebody said, then effing tell the girl before getting in a relationship, you dumbass. Open relationships exist, but all the people in it need to consent. That's the thing. And like we were talking before in other videos, consent is a problem. This is it. If you ask what men's problem is with women, it's either that women didn't do what he wanted or women aren't doing what men want. It's because she requires consent for him to do what he wants with her, or because it wasn't his idea for what a woman does. Of course, we know what our problems are with men, but men's problem is always based in something that they don't need. Like, you don't need every woman to do what you want, but they need that and they want that simply because if they don't, the less grip they have on all of us. So this man is saying how much he hates women and blah blah blah, and then this person said if only she wanted him to take care of their daughter so she wouldn't be devastated, nor would take time out of her day to ask if her husband was hitting on other women. See, if this is the dynamic you want, more power to you, I suppose. But it's always people who are in situations like this, situations that they chose, they will come out and say a woman is trying to drag them down. You went to that woman and asked her to be in a relationship with you. Not only that, you asked her to have a baby for you, and then you're turning around and acting as if she's dragging you down when she and that child would be so much better off without you in their lives. But men need the title of good father. Like, him simply holding his daughter is going to be lauded as a great father. Meanwhile, this is what he was doing while he was holding his daughter. He was hitting on someone else's daughter. Suki said that these men make up stuff just to get mad at, because that's what men's entire existence is, especially nowadays. They just make things up to get mad at, especially when it comes to us, so they can cosplay as people who suffer. And so he said, why did you make all of that up free? Because these men are just so silly. They just write nonsense, absolute nonsense. Like we talked about it on this page before, men will come under a post of women talking about what we've been through, and then men will just write something that didn't actually happen. So women will have proof and articles and evidence that something happened, it will be reported on the news, and then men will come under the comment section and say, well, yeah, she probably cheated. There's no evidence she cheated, but a woman's online talking about what the man did, but didn't mention what the woman did, and these men are just running with the idea that she did something. And Maddie comes back and says, what relevance does this have to the subject? And Ghetto Apologist says men will do anything but be accountable. And then somebody else says towards this woman that, you know, this is what men say about women, blah blah blah. Just because men say this about women doesn't mean that they're right. They're not really right about a lot of things, because why did that man write an entire story that didn't actually happen? It was not actually based in reality. It's just based off his own insecurities, just based off of anything. You know, men, they just throw spaghetti at a wall, hope it sticks. It just takes the right crowd to listen, to be honest. That's why people like TRUMP, that's why they will always have this cult following even long after they're dead, simply because even if that guy came out and said, I denounce everything I said, he will still have those group of people in like fighting other people and beating up minorities in his name. When you've created something bigger than yourself and it's hard to control, and that's what men have done with misogyny, and it's gotten so out of their control, mind you, that most of us are not really afraid of it anymore. So that's why we do whatever we want now, and they hate to see it. The only people who don't hate to see it is us. So Maddie came back and said, so you hate all men because of one man, because obviously men were saying this to her. And she said, no, I hate all men because they kill, beat and, you know, hurt women every day. Men cheat, abuse women. They're supposed to be protecting men, you know, do these things to little girls and women. No, we know the drill, because men will look at these articles, like I mentioned on my story the other day, that a Swedish beauty model was murdered, assaulted by her boyfriend or husband, I think, I can't remember, but he blended her remains in a blender. He like blended her remains. And men will come on the stories like that and say that, yeah, but women cheat. Well, women, you know, they work. Like, women, they created feminism. So, of course, men are angry. Like, how do we know that she didn't wash the dishes on time? And that sounds exactly like a Nigerian man, because they talk exactly like that. And they also sound like Swedish men. They sound like English men. They sound like American men. Do you know why? Because they all think the same way. No group of man or men is better than any other group of men. They are all the same, and they all base their reality and their thoughts and their feelings and beliefs in the same thing. And that same thing is that women have to be below at whim. Because when men need to be held accountable, they say, well, the woman let me do it. That's the same excuse men say when they've assaulted a woman. They say, well, she didn't say no. She was in shock. Every single day we have to deal with men just talking to us unprovoked. And what we can't even do is talk about it. We can't even talk about these things online without people telling us that, you know, these men, they don't know what they're doing, they're dumb, they have autism. Just using like mental health issues or, you know, learning difficulty, disorder, you know, that people suffer from daily, you know, there's a lot of people have autism. It still doesn't mean you can be a dick. Like, autism doesn't make you a horrible person. So I have no idea what that has to do with anything. So because this guy Shadi says that, you know, he has autism, that I took it as, you know, asking for someone's snap means you want to be friends. Yeah, when people ask for my snap, it's for friends, like other women and stuff like that. But when a guy asks you for your snap, we know it's not likely for being friends. The only guys that have asked for my snap when it was non-romantic was when we were doing projects together and we made a group chat on Snapchat because it was easier and I didn't want people to have my number. Men live in this world when they want to. They live in this reality when they feel like they need to. But every other day when we live here, and we are always in reality, because we as women, we can't separate ourselves from what is actually happening, because things are happening to us constantly. We're always under attack. We are always being seen as people who are the problem in society. And we're not allowed to talk about it. But when we talk about it to ourselves, men are always there to be found. Why? We weren't talking to you. Did anyone address you? Did anyone call you? Did anyone summon you? Nobody summoned you. You summoned yourself. Men can talk about the female experience, but like, you know, women, we can't talk about the male experience. We can't talk about them at all. We can't talk about how they treat anybody that isn't a cisgendered man. It's really unfair. But we've moved past the idea of caring whether men see us as human beings. Anyway, we don't care about that anymore. We need to see what they're doing. We need to talk about what they're doing and what they're doing to us. You need to decenter the idea that you need a man to see what is happening to you and other women. Because if you cannot believe the news when men are reporting it, if they can't believe articles that men are writing, it's not really about you being a woman, is it? It's about them not wanting to reckon or face the fact that they are the ones hurting us. They are not being held responsible for the collective, because they can be treated as individuals, but all of us deserve some hatred and violence just because we're women. We'll see about that. A lot of men are proud to be an unsafe person to be around. Honestly, like I said before on this page, I'm not trying to make men better people, and neither should you. Personally, the way they're acting is a better person to them. They think they're doing okay. They think they're good people. They think that what they're doing is all right and correct and good for them, but also they think it's just good in general. Like the way they treat women and talk about women and speak to women and refer to women is normal and it's fine. The only people who seem to be having a problem with it is the women that they're talking about. So this man just posting L's, and mind you, the just posting L's is literally just women living their lives, and everything women do is stupid and bad apparently. But I want you to know that that picture, this post got like over 200,000 likes. So I just want you to know that's where we are at in society. We have just come off the back of multiple stories about women being brutalized, but okay, never mind, this is what men are talking about. And this person says, literally outing yourself and saying you don't understand basic consent, holy F. Which is the truth, because that picture was of two women. One was in a bikini and saying, oh, you can look at me, and then one was in underwear and saying, you can't look at me, like, get out, don't look. And obviously consent beats men's asses. The thing is, I need people to know that consent isn't a subject that men want to talk about, because they think that whatever they think is okay. Whatever they believe when it comes to consent is what they believe, because they pretend as if they don't understand why things are the way they are. And here this person is again posting two women again saying, oh, see, case in point. These women posted themselves in bikinis because they wanted to. You have confirmation that they want people to see it because they post it on the internet. And I want you to note that this just posting else profile also has a picture of a white lady, it looks like, with a mixed race baby. I want everyone to note that this profile picture for the just posting L's is of a white lady with a mixed race baby. So next time black men want to partner up with white men against other races of women, and black women especially, just want you to remember this is how white men see you. Moving on, I love how men say they created the world and they created society and everything in it. And then they can't understand that it was men who designed bikinis. It was actually a man who decided what bikinis are going to look like. They're the ones who designed early bath suits and swimsuits. They only want to say they're in charge of everything when it looks good for them. So it's because of men that women wear bikinis, right? They don't like that. Because men, they want a woman who looks good in a bikini, but they don't want anyone to see her in it. But they want everyone to know, especially other men, to know that she looks good and he has a good woman that looks good in a bikini. He wants everyone to be jealous of her and wants everyone to be jealous of him for having a hot wife, a hot girlfriend, a hot woman on his arm. But then he doesn't want anyone to see it because he doesn't want anyone to drool over her the way he drools over her, because he sees her as an object. And I understand the sentiment of people saying, also, you don't understand consent. About men understand. People like this understand. They understand consent. They totally understand it. If he didn't understand it, he wouldn't put two different examples and try and compare them. What he is, he's upset. He's upset that consent exists, and he's upset that men tell us all the time what they don't like, and this is just another instance of them telling us that they don't like that women are allowed to have control over their own body. A woman showing you her underwear has probably consented to you to have sex and stuff like that. You're probably married to her, so you see each other in their underwear all the time. It's not the same thing as seeing a woman in a bikini, because it's hot at the beach. Of course you're going to wear something, you're going to wear less clothes. Like, most likely you're going to wear less clothes, and not all women wear bikinis. It's just another excuse to oogle women and to gaslight women and sexualize and objectify her, because women used to wear sacks, basically like burlap sacks, to the seaside. They used to wear their normal dresses to the seaside. And then if you see olden like swimsuits from like the Victorian era and, you know, the war period, you can find them on Google. Like, honestly, go on the internet and search what swimsuits used to be like. Do you think women weren't getting sexualized in those things? If you truly and utterly believe that was a better time for women to be at the seaside and men didn't have a problem with what they were wearing, I feel like this isn't the planet for you, because here we're supposed to be based and think in reality. We're supposed to discuss things that are actually happening, and this is what I want my page to focus on. We can talk all the time about how patriarchy, quote unquote, hurts men too. We can talk about what we want men to do, but what are they actually doing? What are they saying that they want to do? And this is an interaction that was happening here under this post. Like, you can see this comment, we just saw it in one of the last screenshots. So he says, you've never understood consent, and this man says, nothing is creepier than a male feminist. So men being on the side of women or defending women against being crept upon, or, you know, just saying that, you know, consent is a thing, we need to respect that, apparently is, you know, a beta decision. There's always helicopters and planes flying close to my house. We don't live near an airport. I have no idea why I'm hearing this. So this man, he asked a good question. How does understanding consent make me a male feminist? I want to know as well. And then this guy says, you bragging about your knowledge of consent. See, this is the thing. I'm not reading the rest of that. Men are making a conscious choice not to be kind to women because it's easier to get a woman to stay with you when you're mean to her. And this isn't a not like knocking women. But we are conditioned to, serve people. We're conditioned to work at things that we didn't start even. We're conditioned to think of everything as our fault. So you see here, he says, any dude who actually gets P-word sees you from a mile out. Because a lot of men know that they're horrible. And they know that's why when they don't get women, they say, oh, you guys only want the bad guys. You are the bad guy. Bad guys get women all the time. And then the reason why bad guys have high body counts is because women find out they're bad guys and they don't want to sleep with them again. And that's why men have painted them having high body counts of women who find out that they're idiots, find out that they're horrible and never sleep with them again as something that's good, and saying that women want men who have multiple bodies. I understand the sentiment, I understand the idea, because a lot of women be like, oh, a woman's been with this guy before, who was probably to be trusted. But you could think about it in the other way, and that's the way we should see it. And the other way is, this man has a high body count, not because women have trusted him, but because they trusted him at one point and then they found out a reason why they shouldn't trust him. But here's a little conversation that happened in Spanish. I press the translate button for you guys. And this just shows it happens everywhere. Like people, the sentiment is that it happens everywhere. Men are having the exact same conversations across the internet, across the world, because that's all they think about. Women will be discussing hippopotamuses, because I was literally just on Twitter now, and there's this little hippo that we are discussing, and then this is what men are doing on the internet. Just women do this, women do that. I can't be with a woman with this, and I can't be with a woman with that. When women do this and women do that, I hate women when they do this, and I hate women, blah blah blah. Who sent you? Nobody knows. But that's what they do. They spend all the time talking about us. And the thing is, you can say that women talk about men a lot, but it's literally because of things that actually happen. It's literally because of what they do and how they think, the way they act, what they choose to do to us, what they have done to us. Now, this is a very important part. So this guy says, you see a half-naked woman and your first thought is R word. Kind of weird, bro. And then the guy comes back and says, you're a genuine idiot, which is true. You should just say things like that to people and just leave it at that. But somebody else says, consent doesn't mean consent to sex. And then that guy, Noctac, says, bro, what are you talking about? Sex getting changed? The big is about double standards that we put ourselves, how we are okay with being seen almost naked as long as you say swimsuit on the price side. Don't argue with people like this, but I'm glad people didn't give up. Like I said before, men create rules and then they're upset and they pretend as if that, there's not a reason why people like rules. But if a woman just goes around in a bikini and says you're asking to be assaulted, so clothes do mean different things apparently. So someone says consent isn't just linked to our words, they consented to allow people to see them in bikini. But then Noctac says the meme is a question on why society gives consent to be seen in a bikini but not underwear. We also allow ourselves to be seen in less clothes just because the price tag says swimsuit, but OP just wants a quick own. You can tell men who hate women by the way they refer to things. It's more than just talking about the price tag saying a swimsuit. You can see how he said that to the last person we just saw in the screenshot. And you'll be wondering, oh, does this person not get? He gets it. He's being intentionally difficult and disingenuous. And then T says you were just given the answer and you're still arguing what the F is wrong with you. And then Nuttat comes back and says, what the F is wrong with you? Why can't you read? Your reading comprehension is worse than a toddler. We know for a fact that a nerve was struck. Nee says, I wonder how happy I would be if I was this stupid. And Noctac says you are literally too R-worded to understand the meme. So it's a meme now when women's boundaries are just blatantly being disregarded and discussed as if it's stupid. It's not even enough to ask men, well, if this happened to you, would you like it? It's not even that. We have to show that these things, we have moved far past caring, that they don't see us as human beings. No matter what they say, we're going to be human beings, whether they like it or not. But this is the most important part, actually. You can see how violent men get, like in that last screenshot, like how violent he got with that woman responding to him. Men don't want answers, they don't want context, they want to win. That's literally it. So Cole says the half-naked woman is quite literally not consenting. Noctex said, and We don't even have to read the rest of the comment. I'm not reading that because we don't need to. And even if you want to read ahead, it says he's talking about the price tag saying swimsuit again, because he's gonna keep bringing it up as if that's the only part that matters. You know, he's referring it to it in a very obtuse manner. Like, you know, when you message men about the way they hurt you and they're like, well, it wasn't a Tuesday though. Meanwhile, you message a whole paragraph. That's why sometimes you shouldn't do that. And this person says, what do you mean and? You're a predator. Men love to show this part of them because this is how they want the world to work. They don't actually believe it. They just want the world to work that way. We are far past the discussion of what kind of guys to look out for and what kind of guys not to date or to marry or to have kids with or to surround ourselves with or to engage with. We already know the kind of guys. But I guess we have to keep talking about it because a lot of guys will put themselves in different categories. You don't have to do it for them. Men are always in the business of trying to separate themselves from the larger group of men, except when it comes to quote unquote good things. So like how crappy the world is. Men will be like, oh, we built the world that you're living in. They took all the water from another galaxy, all the stones, all the brick, all of the dirt, and they put it on a planet and called it Earth. Because every time they say that, that's what I'm thinking. You like created the world sky by sky, land by land, water by water. Is that really what you're talking about? Like, they have this idea that they're like these superheroes who are just going around the world saving everybody. Because if nothing's happening to women, women wouldn't need saving. Because the thing is, they just don't want us to talk about what's going on. They like to cosplay as superheroes or as good guys without actually having to show or prove that they're either one of those things. But women have to prove all the time that they didn't deserve the abuse they got. And it's just getting confusing and more confusing for a lot of people when it's really that simple. A lot of men, the download is that they just want accolades and praise for doing absolutely nothing, just by being there. Because a lot of these men that were caught when we're talking about this Giselle Pellico situation, this where she's taking them to court, like she waived all her rights just so people could see. She said something that should stay with us as women, that, you know, shame should change sides, because we're always trying to blame the victim for what happened to them rather than the assailant for doing these things. And in this case, it's multiple assailants. It's over 90 assailants. Over 90 confirms assailants, but I think it's like just over 50 men who are actually going to be on trial until December of this year. And it's quite sad really that it's that small amount of a number out of that many men who did it to her. So those men, if you see, because some pictures have already been released of some of the men on trial, these guys look like everyday guys. They just look like normal men. And this is what we need to start talking about. This is where we need to end the conversation, because these men could be anybody. But a lot of men like this man here is saying that is blatantly untrue and a despicable thing to say. Most men or women are decent, good people. There's always some who are not. That's humanity. This is the thing. There are some people who like to steal. There are some people who like to kill. There are some people who like to rape. And there's some people who don't like to turn their homework in at the right time. Now tell me, out of those four groups of people, whether you think all four of them deserve the same amount of sentencing. Because if you're going to put all four of those people in the same category, that tells me exactly what kind of person you are. And one does not lead to the other. At least homework, not turning in your homework on time, doesn't lead to you going to rape someone. Those two things have nothing to do with each other. But the way people, especially men, like talk about this is that, oh, if you're bad here, that means you're bad everywhere. And that's what makes it easy for them to label people monsters, especially men, and remove themselves as men from those men who are doing bad things. They like to say these things are monstrous, despicable, inhumane. No, it's a part of human nature for people to be selfish. But the way men have socialized themselves is to get away with things with impunity and also paint the picture that women somehow deserve to be treated like this. Even given all the evidence we are seeing right now, everything that's being released, men are still coming out trying to say that, oh, it doesn't mean that you could ever fall prey to something like this. And then you get another guy here who's saying, actually, this happened in France, so you sit this one out. Funny how women shoehorn themselves into other people's misery. Remember the video I made a couple weeks ago now, maybe within the last 2 weeks, that I made when we were talking about SK women and SK men abusing them and taking pictures of them without their knowledge? Did I or did I not say that a lot of men, they like to do this thing where women in the West, for this instance, and in the last instance too, talk about things that women from other countries have told us and are sharing with us so we can share with each other and have a conversation. They like to do this thing as men and tell us that, oh, this stuff doesn't happen to you women in the West, so I don't know why you're trying to make these women's problems your problem. The men in, for instance, SK and in France are saying to the women in those countries, these things don't happen to you. These things aren't that deep. These things are isolated incidents. It's the same thing that men in the West are telling Western women. This is the way men perpetuate rape culture, and they do this all the time, and they try and paint the picture that it's only happening to one woman or two women or five women, and you're never one of those women. Every woman you know has a story, and every woman you know has said something or tried to say something to someone, and they either downplayed it or didn't listen or said they were lying or they did something to deserve it. What is the difference between those people and these random men on the internet telling us the same thing? There's hardly any difference, because they're the exact same people. The same way men like to say nothing ever happened to any woman who said anything is the same way they like to say that no man is assaulting women at any point in time. But at the same time, they like to say it's the same two men running around the world. It's the same 5 men, or it's only a few men, only 1% of men. 1% of men in the entire planet is still a lot of men. But they like to say that no woman has ever been assaulted. But if we have, it's never us. And if we bring proof, they'll say, oh, well, it's not that deep. We should work out rehabilitation. How can you rehabilitate somebody who says these things when women are talking about what's happening to you? This woman was assaulted and raped by over 90 men over the course of 10 years, and we are not supposed to keep the focus on the fact that these men were in a small community. That is a large amount of people in a small community. I think it's over 3,000 men that are in that community, and out of 3,000 men, these people knew exactly what was going on. These men knew what was going on. These men knew what was going on, and they said absolutely nothing. And I'm willing to bet it was not just those 90 or 100 men who knew about that forum. And I don't understand exactly how these forums work, but if these men knew each other, that means more men knew each other. They knew that all of them were on that forum. And the thing is, this is how men all over the world link up. This is how they share ideas on how to abuse women with each other from all over the world. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. These men followed elaborate plans by one man, this husband of Giselle, this ex-husband, I'm hoping very soon, of Giselle, who gave them strict instructions, and they followed those things just to violate and assault a woman. And to them it's a just, to them it's an only, but to us it encompasses everything we do for the rest of our lives. You always remember your assault. You may learn to live with it, but you will never forget it. And they want to make sure that we have the hardest time trying to get justice as well. And they're labeling it revenge. We're not even allowed to call it rape. We're not allowed to call it what it is. And you have some useless men from the West saying that nothing happens to us. Last time I checked, France is in the West.